Where am I? Am I alive yet?
Yes, yes. And alive. And alive. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Wrong button again. Hey, how you doing? Let's make this camera a little smaller here for everybody. Hope your weekend went well. Hope everything went solid for you. It's finally warming up here, even though it may not look like it by what I'm wearing, but here in my part of the state in North Florida, we had a winter weather event, is what you would call it, last week. Came through Tuesday evening. It didn't. It snowed here where I am, but not to the point that anything accumulated. Snowed for about 15 minutes from Tuesday afternoon, about 5:45 to a little bit after 6. Then it stopped. We thought we were going to get more of that because everything west of us, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, even the Florida Panhandle, Pensacola, Panama City through there, they got tons of snow. I think like Pensacola got 8 inches, almost 10 inches. Panama City I think got around 3 to 5, somewhere like that. So we were expecting a little bit here, but that ended up not happening. It ended up just being ice. So about you could say 8ish, you started hearing the ice fall, and as you went outside, that's all you heard. It was just ice pellets that were falling on like ice BBs. So it was, and that was all night. So the next morning, well, I shouldn't say next morning. I was outside, walking around in it. The yard filled about inch and a half, almost 2 inches of these ice pellets. Covered the streets, covered everything like that. But it was that nice crunching sound when you walked through it, the not the snow. So people around here where I'm at, everyone's posting saying snow this, snow that, but it wasn't snow. I'm sorry, Tallahassee, it was not snow. We had nothing but we had ice. That's what we had. It was just ice. So if you thought you had a snowman, if you thought, I know a bunch of these college kids were downtown throwing what they thought were snowballs at each other, and that people was actually nothing but ice. So, I mean, you could really hurt somebody. You made icemen. You didn't actually make snowmen. I had a coworker of mine try to argue that no, there was actually snow. There was actually snow. Okay, maybe an area or two around here got enough that it stayed like that on the ground, but the majority of people in the Tallahassee area got nothing but ice. That's all it was just ice. But needless to say, it shut the city down for 3 days. So when Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday, and Thursday, um, our county here was basically shut down. And people up north might not understand that, but in Florida, we don't have that weather ever. The last time we had a snow that actually stayed on the ground was, had to have been in 1989 when I was 8 years old, and that only stayed. It started snowing the night before, and melted by noon the next day, and it was only maybe a half inch of snow, something like that. Besides that, we've had flurries from time to time, but nothing that stayed on the ground. So this was the closest that we could have got, but it just didn't happen. And that's just weather. That's just nature. That's just how it happens. But needless to say, our cities down here, they don't keep snowplows. They don't keep ice trucks. They don't keep anything like that. Or ice trucks, just salt trucks, anything like that. So when this stuff happens, I mean, it basically just shuts us down. You can say we're just not prepared for that sort of thing because we don't have them here. So we had streets that were basically shut down Tuesday evening, Wednesday, and into Thursday. Now Thursday was a little better. I got out and drove around, like I went to Walmart. did that sort of thing. So there was still like patches where you could see, okay, you gotta be kind of slow going through here and not turn too jaggedly because you might hit some ice and slide. So there was a little bit of danger out there. But by Friday, we were back at work, and especially yesterday and today, because we got up to the 50s and even the 60s today. So all that stuff is gone, just patches that in areas that were covered by shadows that the sun couldn't get to. But that'll all be gone by tomorrow because we're headed back to the mid 70s this week. So it is what it is. But out in my neighborhood, I was out when it had first started, and of course, you got neighborhood kids that love that stuff. They've never had snow like that, so that's a big thrill for them. So they're all running around doing their thing. But yeah, sorry, I'm distracted right quick. Winter event. It was fun for what it was. Not anything too crazy, but it was what it was for Florida. Um, how it'll always be for us, unless you get just a. I mean, how it always be. How I mean, that's how it always is for us because Florida just doesn't get that lucky with the weather. We just had one of those random times where an Arctic blast came through and met with some Gulf moisture that did enough. I mean, the pictures out of Louisiana with New Orleans being snowed in, that was wild. That was beautiful on some level, but I mean, Pensacola and parts of Louisiana and Milton were just covered in snow. I mean, to the fact that you would have thought that it was up north somewhere with the amount of snow that came down for them. I mean, we were hoping that would have hit here, it just didn't. So we moved on from it. But don't look like that's going to happen anytime soon, unless there's just a massive cold front in the next month. But I seriously doubt that'll happen. Anyways, to get to the news of the day, I saw again. I don't really go to Twitter to mingle much. I'll go but I'll go there just to check out, kind of see what's going on, see what's happening in the world, that sort of thing. And I saw today a new like Superman teaser trailer came out. And as I said, I don't know on it. I wasn't a big Superman guy. You'll have to go back and watch my reaction to that video, that trailer, and I think the first or second thing I did here. Jury's out for me on this one, but I can see a lot of people negatively posting about this particular Superman in general. And so a teaser came out, and this is what we got. There's a lot of hate for it. Um, um, I don't know. I mean, he looks like the dude, Billy Culprit. Is that his name? Culprit? Culprit? I, yeah. I mean, why? I mean, look. I know James Gunn loves to do these face-up flying things. I mean, it was in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, that's how he did his thing. But I mean, it almost looks like his face is being superimposed on this body. It just, I don't know, man. I mean, I think this is going to turn more people off than it will on. I mean, I guess people put Mr. Bean's face on it. Then you have people saying that it's amazing. You got others talking about how it's a downgrade to Caviezel. Same energy as what these did. Man, I mean, I know this is only a short clip. Maybe he puts his fist out later in the clip. I don't know. and this could just be one of those quick little glimpses. Man, but it almost looks like he's riding a ride, like at an amusement park, and they have it to where his arms are strapped in behind him, and he can't, he can't go forward with it. I don't know. I mean, some people love it. I'm not gonna lie, his face looks a little wonky, but I know CGI always gets 10 times better the closer we get to the movie. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, you can't really get extremely excited about. I mean, well, you can get excited about trailers, but you can't get extremely critical about them because so much changes when the final product does come out. I mean, this guy thinks it's perfection, whatever. Again, oof, I don't know, man. It just looks wild. I mean, we'll give him a little bit of time to figure that stuff out. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I don't know what everybody else's takes on that, but oof. Some people are saying it looks like somebody cosplaying as Superman, which fair enough. I mean, it could, but I mean, I liked James Gunn's Guardians movies. I thought they were decent. So I mean, maybe he pulls something out of his. I mean, I don't think too many people thought the first Guardians was going to be extremely good because nobody really knew the characters, and then that thing just took off. That thing was um, wildly successful. So maybe this one, we're only seeing clips that he wants us to see, and the good stuff will be as we get closer to the movie. I don't know, but I think he probably should have had him put his fist out at that point, and then people would have been sold on it. I don't know. Um, the other thing this week that was going on was the deportations, as we saw with one of Trump's executive orders. People are saying that people are leaving. They're heading towards the border, and some people like this guy thinks America's in deep, deep nonsense. I mean, I, I, who knows? You can never tell with these circumstances. It's always an overreaction before you actually understand the actual reaction. I did see this one though, and I'm trying. Oh yeah, this woman here.
Didn't find me in the first place. I was coming back from a concert in a bus stop at a toll booth. Some guy came in asking for ID. I showed him my California ID, but I didn't have my passport. Next thing I knew, I was in a van. I got to the immigration office. They patted me down, took away all my belongings. They looked me up and they saw that I overstayed my 180-day tourist visa. Long story short, they didn't let me leave the immigration office until I bought my ticket to go back to the USA, which is crazy because I already have my dual citizenship in process, but it's not complete yet. That could be why it didn't show up in the system. The closest flight I could get had multiple stops. Before I went to LA, I stopped at Monterrey. I thought it was going to be a smooth process going back to the United States, but then this happened. I didn't get my little paper stamp that they give you when you enter the country, so I ended up missing my flight. And anyone that overstays their 180 days, you have to pay a fee of 717 pesos, which is $35. But since I'm being kicked out of the country, I didn't have to pay that anyways fee. They got me another multiple stop flight, so it took me 2 more flights before I got back to the United States. Yes, and once I saw the Edgar cuts and the LA outfit, I landed back to the motherland.
Okay, so I don't know if she was like putting that video up there to show, because you never know with content creators. Some people will just put that stuff up there to basically show, like, yeah, this is what happened to me for content, right? Like it's just for content. It's not actually anything but them just trying to farm likes and comments. So I don't know what her angle was on this, but I saw like there was a lot of people that were surprised that Mexico actually deports people. I don't know where that concept comes from because every country deports people. You just don't hear about it because most Americans live in their own little bubble, especially people on the far left. They live in their own little bubble thinking that the world just accepts everybody and anybody into their country and they don't kick people out, which is extremely far from the truth. And if you don't understand that, this woman's basically showing you what happened. She was there, and I didn't even know they had vacation visas, but she was there, and who knows what she was doing, just hanging out, probably living off OnlyFans money for all we know. And, you know, she was found without her passport, and so Mexico, adios, you know, muchacho, you gotta go. And she obviously was found. She was 180 days over, I think she said, of her vacation visa. Gotta go. Other countries do this. You can't. I love these people that get upset about the United States doing that and going through and deporting people, and ignore or don't understand that every country does this. Every country, some even more diligent and more ruthless than what we do. You would be extremely shocked at some of the countries that, I mean, that just check out Russia. Try being from a country that doesn't look like them, getting into Russia. And even if you do get into Russia, watch how those people treat you in Russia. And maybe in some of the Baltic states, the same way. People have got to get over this self whatever it is, that that America is the big bad guy when it comes to deportation, or that we're the big bad guy when it comes to immigrants. And we are just one of many. And America has been lenient on a lot of these policies, and a lot of these, you know, a lot of these ethics, and a lot of these making sure that, you know, we don't have the issues that we've had the last couple of years come across the border. And I mean, they've let it slide, and you now have somebody that's, you know, really pounding the nail to the board, and this is the reaction you're going to get. Again, other countries do this. I suggest you people on the left to get out of your bubble and realize that other places will deport people if they do not live from that country. If they go to their illegal, they will kick you out. It is not just us. You need to get over yourself, you virtual signaling idiot. I mean, it's a stupid hill to stand on when every other country in the world kicks people out, probably more than maybe the United States does, or at least more diligently than the United States does. God, I saw too. There's been a lot of going around again about how Trump won, how he. I think Alex Jones had this one up, and I'm not an Alex Jones guy. I seriously, like, Alex Jones, you want to talk about a complete nut job. Alex Jones is one of them. But, yeah, so I guess Stephen A. Smith had some comments on Bill Maher. Let's see if we can find these on the search. And with in which he basically went off explaining
twice.
Here.
He was convicted on 34 felony counts. And the American people still said he's closer to normal than what we see
Exactly.
left. That's what they're saying. He's closer to normal. Why? Because something that pertains, when you talk about the transgender community, for example, and you're talking about the issues that pertain to less than 1% of the population, the Democratic Party came across as if that was a priority more so than the other issues. And so he comes into office. Now you're talking about childbirth, citizenship, and what have you. He knows that's not going to pass the mustard, but he knows that he made that promise. So when he shows up week 1 on Capitol Hill and he says, this is what we're going to do through an executive order, even though it's going to be shot down through the courts and what have you, he's saying, I kept my promise. A lot of other things that he's going to point to that he's going to try to do. I kept my promise. Then you turn around and you look at the left and you say, what promises did you keep? Now, you might know the answer to that. I'm certainly not questioning your knowledge about that at all. What I'm saying is what resonated with the voter. What voter out there can look at the Democratic Party at this moment in time and say, there's a voice for us, somebody that speaks for us, that goes up on Capitol Hill and fights the fights that we want them fighting on our behalf. They didn't do that. And that's why their behinds are home, and that man is back into the White House, and they want to sit up there and talk. You look at the networks right now, they're talking about him. Look at it. This is the latest. Look at him. Here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week 1, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's saying, y'all do something about it. And when you try to do something about it, he's going to say, look at them now. Now they're concerned about these issues. Were they talking about that during the campaign? Hell no. That's really it.
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
Well, look.
And this was it's like, I'm not a big Stephen A. guy. I think what that journalist type did to ESPN and sports in general just polluted sports. You don't, like, he's perfect for like a Bill Maher sidekick, you know. I know he tried to do his own show and failed miserably and then went back to ESPN, but he's perfect as like a sidekick. Like, if you give him somebody to feed off of. I don't like what he has done to ESPN with the sports and the overreacting and becoming a character, becoming a buffoon. But I mean, he made a lot of good points on Bill Maher's show. I mean,
Meme coin a scam. I read about this thing. I mean, oh my God. I mean, what?
What, me? I put my money in a mattress. Well,
Well, it's so simple. He wakes up one day. This is a man, like, remember, he wanted to buy an NFL team in 2014. That was the last time I spoke to him. He wanted to buy an NFL team, the Buffalo Bills.
Right.
I was talking about the meme coins. We won't worry about that. He's getting stuff done. I mean, he had a lot to say on this Bill Maher show. And again, I mean, I'm not a Stephen A. guy, but he's
One. Okay. Because ICE is now detaining people. This has a lot of people concerned. The Laken Riley Act, I'm sure you voted on that. I think you voted no. Okay, but it did pass with 46 Democrats in the House voted for it. And in the Senate, it passed 64 to 35, so I think about 12 Democrats there. This is a law that says that ICE can detain any illegal who is charged, arrested, or convicted of a crime, not merely an accusation, so don't get excited, Karens. Has to be charged, arrested, or convicted. Now, Ruben Gallego, who we've had on this show a number of times, and I think has bigger ambitions, that he's now the senator from Arizona, he voted for it. He said, I'm bringing the perspective of working-class Latinos from Arizona. That perspective, I think, has been missing. And he talks about people who are largely out of touch with where your average Latino is. It sounds like he's calling out people like you who voted no.
I like Ruben. There are a lot of Latino. I do. I think he ran a hell of a race. But there are a lot of Latino leaders who also voted no. Here's the basic thing in this country. If you're convicted of a sex offense, of a violent offense, absolutely you should be deported. But if you're just arrested, we are a country which we have due process, and you should have a trial. I think that's a reasonable position. I think most people can agree also students' position on this.
I get that. That makes a lot of sense, but there's a flip side. So, for example, if I remember correctly, based on my research, in Sacramento in 2023, there was a law passed in terms of empowering the governor of California to really force environmentalists and the courts to move quickly, 270 days, if I remember correctly, something along those lines. Why do I bring something like that up with a subject like this? Because here in your state, they can drag their feet and prolong certain things. And as a result of that, things don't get done nearly as fast as they should. When we're talking about immigration and we're talking about immigrants who may be criminals, you're talking about them being arrested. Let's have due process. But if it takes too damn long to address it,
That pisses people off. That's one of the problems that exist in this country. You're looking at stuff and you're like, okay, you arrested him. Was he in jail? All right, you let him out. Recidivism is an issue in this country. You let somebody, you arrest them, you're letting them out the same day, stuff like that. You got law enforcement officials that are getting discouraged because they're looking at it and they're saying, wait a minute, why are we out here risking our life and taking care of this stuff when y'all are just letting people out? You got to handle business. And a lot of times we hear about the red tape and all of that stuff, and you're talking about a candidate right now who's not supposed to be the president of the United States now. He's sitting up there and he's talking about expediting the process at every turn. Let's just get stuff done. Let's just get it done. Now, I don't know if I trust that. I don't blame you for not trusting it. But we have to understand the American people are saying, you know what, enough's enough. We've tried it that way. We've been doing it that way for decades. We sick of y'all. Let's wait. Let's go through the process. Let's arrest somebody. Let's let them out. Let's put them back out on the streets. Oh, let's make sure they have due process. You think somebody wants to hear about due process with somebody that's in this country illegally? They want to hear that. You in the country illegally. Hell with your process.
Yeah.
You got the audacity to admit a crime after you got here illegally? We ain't trying to hear that. Nobody's trying to hear that. So they're saying, wait a minute, what are you going to do about it? Where is the common sense in that?
And Stephen brought up a good point there where he's saying like people were tired of the politics after decades and decades. It's interesting. When I was growing up, this was in the 90s and early 2000s, the Democrat Party was complaining of the inaction of the government, where the Republican Party was more, just let the government be, everything's fine, we just gotta, keep it status quo. And so that was a back and forth. It's interesting to see now, almost 30 years later, how that's flipped. How it is now the Republican Party has become the more aggressive and almost progressive party as far as we're going to get stuff done, and the Democrat Party has become more, well, we're just going to delay as much as possible and pretend that we're doing stuff or say that we're going to do stuff. And then as most politicians, I should say, not just one side, as most politicians, they then blame the other side for not allowing them to do what they need to do. That is an interesting switch in just how both parties have flipped with the way they handle things now. Because again, when I was growing up, the Democrat Party was more of, no, we're doing this, do. They'd get stuff done or try to get stuff done or do whatever. And the Republican Party was more, no, whoa. Let's wait up, let's slow down, let's see what happens. And now it's completely opposite. And that is, and I mean, I know that happens occasionally in time. You have the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of politics, but it is interesting now to see how from when I was a teenager and in my early 20s to what both parties were like to what they are now. And as they've done the complete opposite. It's like all the conspiracy theorists used to be on the left side, or like independent voters. They were like the crazy, left side, aliens, UFOs, government conspiracies. Now they're all on the right side and independent, and it's an interesting concept and an interesting thing as far as what has happened and how things have just changed over the years. So, I don't know. It'd be one thing to talk about. I'm going to make this one a short stream right now. We'll do another one tomorrow. Catching up on this one. The Eagles made it to the Super Bowl. As of right now, the Bills are beating Kansas. I wouldn't mind a Buffalo Eagles Super Bowl, but we'll see how that finishes. I will jump back in this tomorrow, try to get another hour, get a little hour stream in or so. But until that time, hey, you guys stay safe and stay healthy, okay? Check you later.